What if your emotional reactions were not unpredictable wildfires, but a powerful, controlled burn that you command? What if you could learn to feel deeply without ever being consumed by the flames of your own reactivity? This is not about suppressing your emotions, but about mastering them. Today, we will learn the 8 great principles that will allow you to stop overreacting permanently. 8 principles to stop overreacting permanently, compiled and published by Stoic Power. Lesson 1. Awareness before reaction happens. Imagine a seasoned, wise seismologist, a scientist who studies the immense and powerful forces of the earth. He does not wait for a catastrophic earthquake to begin his work. His entire discipline is dedicated to the subtle art of prediction. He places sensitive instruments deep within the earth to detect the faintest, almost imperceptible tremors that precede a major quake. He understands that the great, destructive event on the surface is always preceded by small, hidden shifts far below. His awareness of these early, subtle signals is what gives him the power to issue a warning, to prepare, and to save lives. His power is not in stopping the earthquake, but in seeing it coming long before anyone else feels the ground shake. The inner conflict for most of us is that we are not the wise seismologist of our own inner world. We live on the surface, completely oblivious to the tectonic pressures building deep within us. The painful and often humiliating problem is that our emotional earthquakes, our sudden, explosive overreactions of anger, our jarring slides into anxiety, or our deep rumbles of despair, often seem to come out of absolutely nowhere. We are going about our day, and then suddenly a seemingly minor event triggers a disproportionately large and destructive emotional response. We are left standing in the wreckage of our own outburst, feeling confused, ashamed, and powerless. We say to ourselves, "I don't know where that came from." We feel like a victim of our own unpredictable inner geology. This is because we have not trained ourselves to feel the subtle, preceding tremors. We only become aware of the emotion when the ground is already shaking violently beneath our feet, at which point it is far too late to do anything but be consumed by the chaos. The transformative solution, the first and most fundamental principle of emotional mastery, is to become the wise seismologist of your own soul. It is the art of cultivating a profound and subtle awareness of your own inner state, learning to recognize the faint, early tremors of an emotional reaction long before it erupts on the surface. The core Stoic idea that underpins this is the practice of prosoch, or vigilant, moment-to-moment attention to one's own inner world. The Stoics knew that you cannot control what you are not aware of. They understood that a powerful emotional reaction is never a single, instantaneous event. It is the final stage of a rapid but distinct process that begins with a subtle internal shift, a change in breathing, a slight tensing of a muscle, a fleeting, negative thought. To become the master of your reactions, you must first become a master of noticing these subtle precursors. The benefit of this is that it gives you the most valuable thing in any crisis: time. When you can feel the emotional earthquake when it is still just a faint, deep tremor, you have precious seconds to prepare yourself, to engage your rational mind, and to choose a wiser course of action. You are no longer surprised by your own emotions. The actionable step to cultivate this inner seismograph is to practice the somatic check-in. Soma is the Greek word for body. For 1 week, set a quiet alarm on your phone to go off 3 times a day at random intervals. When the alarm sounds, you must pause no matter what you're doing. Close your eyes for 30 seconds. Your only job is to scan your own body and your mind for the subtle signals of tension. Ask yourself, where in my body am I holding tension right now? Is my jaw clenched? Are my shoulders tight? Is my breathing shallow? What is the background emotional weather in my mind at this very moment? This practice is you placing the sensitive instruments deep into the earth of your own being. It will train your awareness to notice the subtle physical precursors to emotional reactions. You will become so attuned to your own inner state that you will be able to feel the faint tremor of rising anger long before it becomes an earthquake of rage. I urge you to begin this practice today. Become the wise seismologist of your own soul. Once you are aware of the rising emotion, you must have a tool to stop its momentum. Our next lesson is on the crucial power of the pause. Before we continue, please subscribe to the Stoic Power channel to commit to this journey of profound self-awareness. Lesson 2. Pause. When emotion surges. Imagine a powerful charging bull, its eyes fixed on you, thundering across an open field. This bull is the raw, primal energy of a surging emotion, a flash of intense anger, a wave of panic, a surge of deep hurt. If you stand directly in its path, you will be trampled. If you try to meet its force with your own brute force, you will be thrown aside. The inner conflict we face is that when this emotional bull charges, our instinct is to do one of these two foolish things. We either let it run us over completely, or we try to fight it head-on. The painful problem is that a surging emotion has an immense and almost irresistible momentum. When you are in the grip of a powerful feeling, your entire neurobiology is screaming at you to act now. This is the amygdala hijack, where your primal emotional brain completely overrides your slow, deliberate, rational brain. This is why, in the heat of the moment, we say the thing we can never take back. We send the email that destroys a relationship. We make the impulsive decision that we will regret for years. We are not thinking, we are simply being carried along by the furious momentum of the charging bull. Our lack of a brake is the direct cause of our most destructive and regrettable actions. The transformative solution is to train ourselves to be the master matador. The matador's first and most important skill is not to fight the bull, but to skillfully and gracefully step aside. It is the art of the sacred pause, the ability to create a moment of stillness in the face of a powerful emotional charge. The core Stoic idea is that between the stimulus, the external event, and our response, there is a space. In that space lies our freedom and our power. A reaction is what happens when there is no space. A wise response is what happens when we have the discipline to create one. The pause is the tool we use to carve out that sacred space. It is the matador's elegant sidestep. It is the conscious decision not to be trampled by the initial powerful surge of emotion. The benefit of this is that it is the very mechanism of self-control. By mastering the pause, you give the initial powerful wave of adrenaline a moment to crest and begin to recede. You allow the blood to flow back to your prefrontal cortex, your rational mind, giving the wise you a chance to come back online and make a better decision. You do not stop the bull, but you avoid its initial devastating charge. The actionable step to install this emergency brake into your own mind is the tactical breath technique. The moment you feel that powerful, overwhelming surge of an emotion, you must train yourself to perform one single, powerful action before you do anything else. Take one slow, deliberate, and fully conscious breath. Inhale deeply through your nose for 4 counts, feeling your belly expand. Then, exhale slowly through your mouth for 6 counts, as if you're breathing out through a thin straw. This slightly longer exhale is key, as it actively stimulates the vagus nerve and it begins to calm your entire nervous system. This one breath is your sidestep. It is a powerful physiological circuit breaker for the emotional hijack. I challenge you this week to make this your new, non-negotiable rule. The moment the bull charges, you take one tactical breath. This pause gives you a chance to see the bull clearly. But what exactly is the bull? How do we identify the true source of our overreaction? Our next lesson is on identifying the trigger pattern. If you are ready to master the pause, please like this video. Lesson 3. Identify the trigger pattern. Imagine you are a master detective, a modern-day Sherlock Holmes, investigating a series of seemingly random emotional crimes that you have committed against yourself. One day, you overreact at work. The next day, you have a disproportionate emotional response to a comment from your partner. The next, you are thrown into a state of anxiety by a news headline. To the untrained eye, these events seem disconnected, random, and chaotic. But the master detective knows that there is no such thing as a random crime. There is always a pattern, a signature, a modus operandi. The inner conflict we face is that we are the victims of our own serial emotional crimes, but we have never bothered to do the detective work to find the culprit. The painful problem is that our emotional overreactions often feel mysterious, and unpredictable, precisely because we have never taken the time to analyze the data. We treat each outburst as an isolated incident, failing to see the common thread that connects them all. This leaves us feeling powerless and confused, as if we are at the mercy of a mysterious inner criminal who can strike at any time. We cannot prevent future crimes because we have not identified the criminal's method. This is a frustrating and deeply unsettling way to live, a life without any real self-awareness or understanding of our own deepest sensitivities. The transformative solution is to put on your detective's hat and to begin the meticulous, fascinating work of analyzing your own emotional data to find the hidden patterns, the signature of your personal triggers. The core Stoic idea is that self-knowledge is the beginning of all wisdom. Know thyself was the inscription at the Temple of Apollo at Delphi, a maxim the Stoics lived by. They believed that to live a rational life, you must first understand your own irrationalities. This requires a form of detached, scientific observation of your own mind, looking for the cause and effect relationships that govern your emotional life. The benefit of this is that it demystifies your own reactions. The mysterious criminal is unmasked. When you understand your trigger patterns, you are no longer surprised by them. You can see them coming, and this foresight gives you an immense strategic advantage. You can prepare your defenses, you can choose a different path, and you can begin the deeper work of healing the underlying wound that the trigger is pointing to. The actionable step to begin your investigation is to start a trigger pattern log. For 1 month, every time you have an emotional overreaction, you will perform a brief analysis in your journal. You will log 3 key pieces of data for each incident. 1. The situation. What was the external context, e.g., at work, during a team meeting? 2. The spark. What was the specific, objective event that triggered the reaction, e.g., my boss publicly questioned my data? 3. The deeper wound. What core belief or insecurity within me did that spark ignite? E.g., the deeper wound is my fear of being seen as incompetent or fraudulent. After you have logged 5 or 6 of these incidents, you will begin your detective work. You will read through them and look for the recurring theme, the signature. You will likely discover that it is not 1,000 different things that set you off. It is probably 1 or 2 core wounds: a fear of abandonment, a need for control, a fear of inadequacy, that are being triggered over and over again in different situations. This discovery is the aha moment. It is the moment the detective unmasks the villain. I urge you to begin this investigation. The truth of your patterns will set you free. Once we see the pattern, we must learn to separate the objective reality from the emotional story we tell about it. Our next lesson is on this crucial skill of separating fact from story. Please comment below and share a trigger you are willing to investigate in your own life. Lesson 4. Separate fact from story. Imagine you are watching a silent film of a simple, objective event. A man is standing on a street corner. A woman walks past him, looks at him briefly, and then continues walking. That is the entire film. It is a sequence of pure, undeniable facts. Now imagine 2 different people watching this silent film, and they are both asked to provide the story and the emotional soundtrack. The first person, who has a core belief of being undesirable, might create a story of painful rejection. The woman saw me, found me unattractive, and dismissed me completely. This proves I will be alone forever. His emotional soundtrack is one of sadness and shame. The second person, who has a core belief of being intriguing, might create a story of mystery. The woman was captivated by my presence, but was too shy to speak. She will probably think about me for the rest of the day. His emotional soundtrack is one of confidence and amusement. The inner conflict for us is that we are constantly confusing our own subjective, emotional soundtrack with the silent, objective film of reality. The painful problem is that our emotional overreactions are almost never caused by the objective facts of a situation. They are caused by the dramatic, often catastrophic, and highly biased story that we immediately and unconsciously tell ourselves about those facts. Our feelings come from our story, not from the event itself. We fail to see that there is a gap between the silent film of reality and our own internal narrator. We believe that our story is reality, and this fusion of fact and fiction is the very mechanism that creates our emotional turmoil. We are living in a movie of our own making, and then we are shocked when the movie is a horror film. The transformative solution is to become the wise film editor of your own mind. It is the art of learning to press the mute button on your own automatic emotional soundtrack, so that you can look at the silent, objective footage of reality with calm and clear eyes. The core Stoic idea that empowers this is the concept of objective representation, fantasia cataleptici. It is the discipline of stripping away all of our subjective interpretations, our emotional baggage, and our dramatic storytelling from an event, and describing it only in the most neutral, factual, and non-judgmental terms possible. This is what Marcus Aurelius was doing when he reminded himself that a luxurious feast was just the dead body of a fish, a bird, or a pig, or that fine wine was just the fermented juice of a grape. He was deliberately stripping away the story to see the underlying fact. The benefit of this is that it takes all the emotional venom out of a situation. When you can separate the fact from the story, you can see the situation with a calm clarity that is impossible when you are lost in the drama of your own narrative. This allows you to respond to the reality of the situation, not the fiction of your fears. The actionable step to practice this is the fact versus story journal exercise. When you find yourself in the grip of an overreaction, take out a piece of paper and draw a line down the middle. On the left side, under the heading My Story, write down the emotional, dramatic, and often catastrophic narrative you are telling yourself. Get it all out. On the right side, under the heading The Silent Film, force yourself to describe the exact same situation using only language that a video camera could verify. No interpretations, no mind reading, no predictions about the future. Just the objective, observable facts. For example, story, my partner is furious with me and is giving me the silent treatment to punish me. The silent film, I sent a text 2 hours ago. My partner has seen the text. I have not yet received a reply. This simple act of translation is incredibly powerful. It exposes the huge gap between reality and your story. It reveals how much extra suffering you are creating with your own mind. I challenge you to try this exercise with one overreaction this week. Mute the dramatic soundtrack and just watch the silent film. Once you have separated fact from story, you have the power to change the story. How do we master the inner dialogue that creates these narratives? That is our next lesson. To support our channel, please subscribe to the Stoic Power channel. Lesson 5. Master the inner dialogue. Imagine you have a wise, calm, and rational advisor who lives in your mind. This advisor is like the Stoic philosopher king, Marcus Aurelius. When you face a challenge, this advisor speaks to you with a voice of reason, courage, and perspective. Now imagine you also have a frantic, anxious, and catastrophic court jester who also lives in your mind. When you face that same challenge, the jester runs around screaming, telling jokes at your expense, and painting vivid pictures of doom and gloom. The inner conflict for each of us is this: which of these two inner voices do we listen to? Which one do we give the power to shape our decisions and our emotional state? The painful problem is that for most of us, most of the time, the court jester is the one with the loudest voice and the most influence. Our inner dialogue, especially when we are stressed or triggered, is often a relentless stream of negative self-talk, catastrophic predictions, and harsh self-criticism. This inner voice is a terrible advisor. It fuels our anxiety, it undermines our confidence, and it is the primary author of the painful stories we discussed in the last lesson. We overreact to situations because our inner jester is constantly screaming that everything is a disaster. We have abdicated the throne of our mind to our own most irrational and fearful part. The transformative solution is to deliberately and consciously choose to fire the jester and to promote the wise advisor. It is the art of mastering your inner dialogue, of learning to speak to yourself with the calm, rational, and encouraging voice of a Stoic mentor. The core Stoic idea is that our inner dialogue is the rudder of our soul. The words we say to ourselves, the narrative we construct in our own minds, determines our entire emotional experience of the world. The Stoics were masters of this. The Meditations of Marcus Aurelius is literally a record of the author training his own inner dialogue, constantly correcting his own irrational thoughts and reminding himself of his Stoic principles. He was actively being his own wise advisor. The benefit of this is that you become your own best coach, your own most trusted friend. You develop the ability to calm yourself down, to encourage yourself, and to find a wise perspective even in the most difficult situations. This is the foundation of true emotional resilience and self-reliance. The actionable step to practice this is to use the wise advisor technique. When you catch yourself in the grip of a negative inner dialogue, when the jester is screaming, you must pause. Then you will literally ask yourself this question: what would the wisest, strongest, and kindest version of myself say to me right now? Or you can imagine a figure you admire, perhaps a historical figure like Marcus Aurelius or a wise grandparent, and ask, what would they advise me to do or to think in this moment? Then you must actually write down the answer in your journal or say it out loud. You must give the wise advisor a voice. For example, if the jester is screaming, "You're going to fail this presentation," the wise advisor might say, "You have prepared for this. Focus only on your effort, which you can control. Let the outcome be what it will. Your worth is in your courage, not their applause." By consciously generating this wise, calm voice, you are literally changing the channel in your brain. You are taking the microphone away from the jester and giving it to the king. I challenge you this week to have one conversation with your own wise advisor. Listen to what he has to say. A wise inner dialogue allows us to respond to situations with a powerful sense of detachment. How do we cultivate this quality? That is our next lesson. Please like this video if you are ready to fire your inner jester. Lesson 6. Respond with rational detachment. Imagine you are a brilliant surgeon in an operating room, performing a complex and life-saving procedure. The patient on the table is in critical condition, and the stakes are incredibly high. The surgeon feels the immense pressure of the situation. She is aware of the gravity of what she is doing, but she is not consumed by a chaotic emotional reaction to it. She operates with a state of profound, focused, and rational detachment. Her hands are steady. Her mind is clear. Her decisions are based on her years of training and on the objective data in front of her. It is this very emotional detachment that allows her to be so incredibly effective and to save the patient's life. If she were to become overwhelmed by the emotion of the situation, she would be unable to perform her duties. The inner conflict for us is that when we are in a high-stakes emotional situation, we do not act like the surgeon. We get completely lost in the emotion. The painful problem is that we often believe that being emotional is a sign that we care. We think that to be detached is to be cold, uncaring, or robotic. But this is a profound misunderstanding. In a heated conversation, getting swept up in your own anger, your own hurt, or your own anxiety does not help the situation. It makes it worse. It is the opposite of a loving or effective response. Your emotional reactivity prevents you from seeing the situation clearly, from listening to the other person, and from finding a wise and compassionate path forward. You are like the surgeon who has become so overwhelmed by the sight of blood that she can no longer hold the scalpel steady. Your lack of detachment makes you ineffective. The transformative solution is to learn to cultivate the powerful and profoundly caring state of the surgeon. Rational detachment. It is the ability to feel an emotion deeply while simultaneously choosing to respond from a place of calm, objective reason. The core Stoic idea is that reason is our greatest tool for navigating the world effectively and virtuously. To allow our reason to be overthrown by our passions, especially in a difficult moment, is to abandon our most powerful human faculty. The Stoic warrior trains himself to see the situation with what the philosopher Epictetus called the eye of reason. He acknowledges his emotions, but he does not let them be the sole authors of his actions. The benefit of this is that it allows you to be the calm, effective, and loving presence in any difficult situation. You can be present for a grieving friend without being consumed by their grief. You can navigate a partner's anger without being consumed by your own defensiveness. This makes you an incredible source of strength and stability for the people you care about. The actionable step to practice this is the view from the balcony visualization. When you are in a heated, emotional conversation on the dance floor, you must practice mentally going to the balcony. For a few seconds, imagine your consciousness floating up and out of your body, as if you are standing on a balcony looking down on the scene. From this detached perspective, simply observe. See yourself on the dance floor. See the other person. Notice the emotions, the body language, the dynamic, all from a safe, objective distance, like the surgeon observing the monitors. Ask your balcony self, what is really happening down there? What is the wisest move for my dance floor self to make next? This mental shift from participant to observer is the very essence of rational detachment. It gives you the perspective you need to choose a wise response. I urge you to try going to the balcony in your next difficult conversation. This detachment is not a permanent state, but a skill to be practiced. How do we make this practice a core part of our being? Our final lesson is on fortifying our calm through daily practice. Please subscribe to the Stoic Power channel to complete your training. Lesson 7. Fortify calm through practice. Imagine a great and beautiful stone archway, the kind that can stand for 1,000 years. Its incredible strength comes from a single essential component, the keystone, the final wedge-shaped stone placed at the very apex of the arch. This keystone does not bear all the weight itself, but it locks all the other stones into place, distributing the immense pressure downwards and outwards, creating a structure that is profoundly strong and self-supporting. All the lessons we have learned so far, awareness, the pause, identifying triggers, separating fact from story, mastering our dialogue, and practicing detachment, are the individual stones of our arch of emotional resilience. But they are just a pile of stones until they are locked into place by the final, essential keystone. The inner conflict is that we often learn these techniques, but we fail to integrate them into a coherent daily system. The painful problem is that our attempts at self-control remain sporadic and unreliable if they are not supported by a consistent daily practice. We might remember to use a technique in one argument, but completely forget it in the next. Our calm is fragile because it is not yet a deeply ingrained habit. It is just a trick we occasionally remember to use. We have a pile of well-cut stones, but we have not yet built the arch. This means that under real pressure, the structure is likely to collapse. The transformative solution is the final and most important principle: to understand that unshakable calm is not an event, but the natural result of a small, consistent, and daily practice of reinforcement. The keystone that locks all the other lessons into place is the commitment to a daily Stoic habit. The core idea is the Aristotelian and Stoic principle that we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence is not an act, it is a habit. You cannot become a calm and rational person by only practicing in moments of crisis. You must forge that character, day by day, in the quiet moments of your daily life, so that when the crisis comes, your calm response is not a struggle, but an automatic reflex. The daily practice is what transforms the knowledge from an idea in your head into a skill in your bones. The benefit of this is that your calm becomes your default state. You are no longer trying to not overreact. You are simply becoming the kind of person who does not overreact. This creates a deep, authentic, and unshakable confidence that is not dependent on your mood or your circumstances. You have built the arch, and you can trust it to hold your weight. The actionable step is to create a simple, 2-minute daily Stoic keystone practice. This will be the final step of your morning routine. After you have reviewed your values or your purpose, you will ask yourself this one question: what is one specific Stoic tool I will commit to actively practicing today? You might say, today I will focus on the 2-breath pause. Or, today I will practice separating fact from story in my inner dialogue. Choose just one. By setting a single, clear intention, you are priming your mind to use the tool. Then, at the end of the day, as part of your evening review, you will ask, how did I do with my practice today? Where did I succeed, and where did I fall short? This daily cycle of intention and reflection is the keystone. It locks all the other practices into a powerful, self-reinforcing structure of continuous improvement. This is how you embody Stoic power, day by daily, deliberate day. We have journeyed through the 8 great principles of Stoic self-mastery, from becoming the seismologist of our own triggers, to the final, powerful act of embodying these practices in our daily lives. This path teaches us that the power to stop overreacting is not about a life without emotion, but about a life where our wise, rational mind is the calm and undisputed master of our inner world. Thank you for taking this time to explore this path to unshakable inner peace. If this video has served you on your journey, please like this video, comment with your greatest takeaway, and subscribe to the Stoic Power channel for more wisdom on forging an unconquerable mind and a life of profound strength.